action, and everyone can take a picture of these things. And unfortunately, you saw some bad apples who were standing around, seemed to be urinating on some dead bodies of Taliban. It has been reported that they were a scout sniper team attached to the Marine Corps unit that's now back from Afghanistan in Camp Lejeune. This has everyone worried that this is another Abu Ghraib moment, that this will it comes at a very, very sensitive time.
This is the sort of buzz that's been going on in the past 24 hours about this piss video of these apparently sniper team, U.S. sniper team, urinating on people who are being called Taliban. Everybody is incensed at this. Here are these guys. They're representing the U.S. military, and they're pissing on the people that they've killed. As you heard, the question arises, is this the new Abu Ghraib? The answer is that no, it's not, except in the public consumption of people who don't think critically. Now, what does that mean? It means that in Abu Ghraib, they were doing all sorts of horrendous things to living people who had, in most cases, not been seen shooting anybody or anything like that. These were people who were rounded up door to door by the freedom fighters of the United States Army, of course, there to spread democracy door to door. And they had not received a trial. And they were being psychologically tortured and humiliated for the sadistic gratification of some pretty filthy people. I believe the famous woman who was at the center of that whole scandal, I believe it was during the course of those events that she had even gotten pregnant. So this is the sort of caliber of individual that we're talking about and that our tax dollars are employing. So on that very obvious level, these are two very different scenarios. They're similar only in that both are scandals. Why are both scandals? Because Americans don't want to think that that G.I. Joe is anything but an action hero. They don't want to think that anything amiss is going on. So this raises the question, what do they think is going on? They know that people are dying, right? They know that, I guess, most understand that there is significant collateral damage. But of course, we're told that that's kept to an absolute minimum. And yet, many World Trade Centers could have been filled with the victims of collateral damage, the collateral damage incurred by these wars. This war against, really against the Afghani people, and not so much against the Taliban, because the Taliban's stronger than ever. So if it's a war against the Taliban, it almost seems like a war for the Taliban. We made all the right moves to empower the Taliban. And of course, way back in October of 2001, when Bush was talking about all of this and having his exchanges with the so-called Mullah Omar, I was telling people this. I was telling people at the corporation I was working for, when we were being forced into our meetings where we would have to go and hear the CEO and his father, who worked at an adjoining company, talk about how we need to kill them all, nuke them all, how we need to go into all the mosques because the Muslims are having their secret jihad war meetings there. This wasn't uncharacteristic for corporate America. I didn't work at an anomalous company. I know many people who experienced similar hateful environments after 9/11. But this is, of course, the sort of thing that many Americans are insulated from. They're insulated from the misdeeds of the military, the misdeeds of corporate America, and even the sort of hateful environment that those operating in corporate America produce and emanate. So this didn't really surprise me. I had heard much worse stuff from the employees at this corporation, and countless references to racial terms, and not just for Arabs, for African Americans, and which of course would stop whenever African American employees were around. And no matter how much these people were called on it, it didn't matter. And apparently a lot of the civil groups, the civil rights groups and so on, that they were so inundated with claims like this at the time that they never even responded in many cases. So I have some perspective. Some people listening to this, it might be younger. Maybe you were a kid when 9/11 happened, or when all of this was kicking off, and you don't quite understand. You don't understand what the vibe of America was when this was going on. Like people who were adults and engaged in various aspects of society, and upper middle class and upper class society might have been exposed to at that time. People on that end of the social spectrum, or I guess more appropriately we could say on that level of the social strata, they know what's going on and they don't care. They're like these soldiers pissing on corpses. They know that people are dying. I had extensive conversations with them. And many people that I know have had extensive conversations with people just like them all over the country. They know people are dying. They don't care. They don't care because this is a football game to them. We're dealing with a nation, 43% of which believe that God intervenes to help Tebow, the 40-year-old virgin, win football games. Okay, this is the mental, the psychological, and the spiritual deformity of the American consciousness. So it's not really so surprising then that the children of these people would come of age and pick up their M16 and go through their basic training, or their not so basic training in the case of these snipers, and would kill some people that they call Taliban, and would then piss on them. This shouldn't be surprising. This is what America's been doing. They've been pissing on entire populations. They pissed with bombs on Iraq. They called it shock and awe. It was shock and awe like an R. Kelly video. R. Kelly's video shocked and awed us. We couldn't believe this guy pissing on these young girls. And to me, more shocking was Donald Rumsfeld talking about we're going to shock and awe him, and then seeing these little miniature mushroom clouds going up all over, and them airing this, and there being no protests, no we are the 99%, no end the war. Nobody was protesting. Even when Eminem came out with his album, and I guess that was the fall of 2003, where he starts, this was almost the most radical thing that had happened to date, and then it just started going right after that. I don't know if this white boy who had the courage to talk about I'd rather see the president dead, it's never been said, but I set precedents, talking about all of these war issues, this video that he had with, there was nothing like that going on. And then you see Green Day, then you see, soon people start caring, but at the time it takes probably a borderline suicidal artist to crack the ice, really the apathy that was going on, the apathy in the hip hop scene, everybody rocking their American flags. In the Muslim community, women wearing, no disrespect to them, but women wearing American flag hijabs after 9/11. I understand the sentiment, but really what was going on, for those who don't know, is these women were terrified out of their minds that they were going to be the next woman to get raped and stabbed by an angry mob in the streets of New York City, which was going on, which was not being reported. This is the psychology that was of the people at that time. And now the people, the adults who had kids in school, in elementary school at that time, the things that they said, the seeds that they planted in their minds of hate and disregard for people of swarthier skin and of other nation and foreign tongue, those seeds have taken root and grown to maturity, and now we have a harvest of hate. And everybody's surprised, and I'm not surprised. And it's different. It's different than Abu Ghraib. It's a different scenario, different cause, and different effect. So the real question to me is not, did these guys piss on... Oh yeah, we know they pissed on him. It's not why they pissed on him either. The question to me is, why are we so offended that they pissed on him? That they pissed on people they killed? The real question is, were these people really Taliban? Because the vast majority of people that we've been killing in Afghanistan are just farmers. They don't know anything that's going on. They see armed men walking around. They don't have television sets. They don't even have radios. They see armed men walking around in their valleys. And they hear stories about the war crimes that we have testimony from U.S. soldiers that have gone on, that we have documentation of. And maybe they shoot at these guys. Maybe they don't. Maybe they walk around and they just have a gun themselves, because that's part of the culture there. People have lathes in little shops and little huts, basically. And that's all they need is the blueprints, the schematics for any weapon in the world, and they manufacture them, and you can buy a machine gun for $25. People have guns there. And if I had a bunch of the Chinese army roaming around here, and I heard some of them raped some people, shot some innocent people, this, that, and the other, I'm going to be cruising around with a machine gun as well. So maybe these snipers, they're told, go out there and look for Taliban. Well, what are Taliban? Taliban are Afghanis with guns. That's the Taliban. That's in these guys' perceptions. So they shoot some guys, received no trial. These weren't... Who were they? Were these wanted leaders of the Taliban? We let the so-called Mullah Omar go. This was all over the news. We had him in our sights. The Air Force pilot was told to stand down, to not take the shot, to let him escape. These were the words: escape with dignity. And of course, he did. He escaped with dignity, regrouped, and the Taliban is stronger than ever. Something that all of white and corporate America was sure would never happen. No matter how much those of us who knew the political situation throughout Muslim lands told them otherwise. This is not going to work how you think. This is going to backfire in the extreme. This is not going to be a quick operation like you're saying. This is going to drag on for over a decade, if it ever ends at all. These were some of the things I said to people, that I sent mass emails in response to our CEO sending mass hateful, slanderous, racist emails to us, imposing that on us. And this is something that thousands of people had to deal with and had to just shut up to keep their job. And they had no recourse, no one to step up and help them get their job back, and who would even want such a job back. So all of this was going on back then, and none of this surprises me. So if these guys were Taliban, if they were real Taliban, if they were Mullah Omar and his henchmen, or the less than a dozen people who've actually met Mullah Omar in person, in case you didn't know that, because the news is functionally illiterate on the subject, as are many of the war strategists on the actual structure of these groups and who's who. They know next to nothing, and the people who do know something apparently think that we should be letting our assets, Mullah Omar, escape with dignity. So this isn't surprising at all to me. What's surprising to me is that the American public is so outraged at somebody pissing on somebody that's said to be Taliban. And they're not outraged by the killing of these people. If these people deserve to die, if these were people who threw acid on the faces of women for not wearing a burqa, or people who raped little boys, or any of the reports that we have, legitimate reports in many cases of the atrocities of the so-called Taliban. If these were those people, then I'd push those soldiers out of the way and I'd be the first to piss on their corpses. But the reality is, these were probably not real Taliban. These were probably Afghani civilians. Civilians in spite of being armed. Just like almost half of America is composed of armed civilians. It doesn't make them Taliban. It doesn't make America, 50% of America belong to hateful, racist militia groups reading the Turner Diaries just because half of America is armed. Nor does it make it that way in Afghanistan just because they happen to speak with a different language, or maybe not look the same, or wear different clothes, or have a different religion, or anything like that.